Alright, so I'm going to talk a little bit in this quick little video, hopefully it'll be quick, about the LLL code that comes up on the thermostat display sometimes. We get a lot of phone calls, a lot of emails and messages regarding this, and so hopefully if I explain it here then everybody will know what it is and what to do about it. So if you get the LLL code on here, that's the thermostat's way of saying, hey, what's up? There's no temperature reading. That's, you know, it's so how this works is the tubing segments of the thermostat unit. So if you don't have a thermostat unit, you can probably just ignore all of this stuff. But if you have a thermostat unit, this wire here, you know, obviously passes through the tubing insulation, comes out the other end, and this end here. So this here is the sensor wire that is actually inside of the seat covers that we sell with the thermostat unit. So this little, the little cylinder thing on the end here it reads the temperature of the seat cover, and it will send that information along to the thermostat module, and the thermostat module deciphers that information and then tells the pump what to do based on what temperature you set it at. So I'm going to show you so this would be inside your seat, and then this is the end of the tubing segment. So obviously these tubes hook to your seat cover, but I'm going to plug this in to there and that'll go away and the pump kicks on. So you can see that the reading on this thing is 80 degrees and then our set temperature is 65, so obviously the pump's going to kick on. This pump's a little bit sick. It's one that we decided to hold back because it didn't sound too well. Anyway, so you can see it got disconnected at the seat, so this would be an essentially like a disconnection at the seat, or even if it's just partially plugged in. Well, sometimes it can just be partially plugged in and not get a reading. This one happens to get a reading anyway. But if you get the LLL, the first place to check is that connection at your seat cover, because that'll cause the LLL. Also, like if you obviously if it's not connected there all the way, well, so yeah, I mean that's what that is. So if you get the LLL code, it's just a loose connection somewhere. Now I'm not gonna say that this, you know, like these have gone bad, and I've had a few people that have needed new sensor wires. So we are going to start listing those for sale on the website, to where you can just buy just these sensor wires in case, you know, if you've had your seat cover a couple years, just the wear and tear, the bending and whatnot on these wires, it can cause them to just not work anymore, and so then you'll get the LLL no matter whether it's plugged in or not. So that is one you know, problem that could be. The older models, we used to have problems with the port on the actual thermostat, but since we've started to switch to these new connectors that we install on the thermostat modules, these have been pretty solid. And so generally the problem, if you're getting an LLL and your connections are good, it's generally a problem with the wiring. You know, very rarely is it in the thermostat module. So anyway, so that's enough about that. I'm going to show you, so to program the temperature, it's just a quick little touch of the button there, and your temperature will blink. That's your set temperature, so whatever you want your seat cover at within reason. Obviously you can't go below, you know, 30 below or something. I think the lowest some of these seats will go is you know, 38 degrees or something, and that's very rare, even because you've got outside influences, especially if you're in a hot vehicle. So to set it, you just need to get that blinking, and then you can use your plus and minus buttons to adjust your seat cover, you know, your seat temperature that you want. So it's just a quick press. Now if, you know, I've had people where they get the LLL code and then they think, oh, well, something's wrong. So then they end up getting into the program settings of the thermostat module, and that can really screw things up. So I'm going to show you how to fix that, or at least check your settings to make sure that they're okay. So you basically want to, from when the unit is off, you turn it on. It doesn't have to have the wires connected or anything. You can just do it, you know, without anything plugged into it, just the power, obviously. So you press it once, and then you're going to press and hold it about 5 seconds or so, and then you'll get a P that comes up, P0. There's 9 different settings for these programming modes. Each one does a different thing. There's one of them I have no idea what it does, and that's P7. The rest of them I know what they do. Most of them are irrelevant to what we're using it for, but that's just how the thermostats come programmed. So P0, that is the hot and the cold mode. So we commonly get where people accidentally turn it to a heat, and so the thermostat's going to work in reverse if you do that. And so you don't want to, you know, like, so to turn it from an H to a C, you just push the minus button. Let me back up though. So once you get the P's to come up, like the P0, to get in to check the setting or to change it, you want to press the set button again, and that'll show you what that particular P is set at. But it doesn't give you very long, because it'll lapse right back into operational mode. So you got to do it pretty quickly. If it lapses back in, then you just have to go back into the programming. And so, like I said, you press set again when you're on the P, and then you can adjust it based on, you know, on what it's set at. So P1 is also one that's common that gets misdone or accidentally changed. See, it's annoying because it doesn't give you long at all. If you're not pushing a button, it'll count down, and then all of a sudden. So this one should be, P1 should be at 0.2. Now I'll put all these settings in the notes below the video so that you can know what each one is supposed to be set at. P2, that's just an upper range. P2 and P3 are pretty much meaningless to us unless, like, you don't want to have them set at the wrong thing, or they still won't work. So P2 should be at 230, P3 should be at -58. I mean, those are just kind of the default settings that we don't really mess with. P4 should be at 00. I haven't really changed that one, and I actually don't know what that one means either, but I know that it's supposed to be at 00, or it may not work. P5 definitely has to be at 00, or you'll just get this little light that blinks. So P5 00, like you know, I think it goes up to 8 or something. No, it goes, okay. So yeah, P5 should be at 00. P6, if this little beep annoys you when you adjust things, you can actually turn that off. That's P6 though. You don't want to turn, well, P7, I don't know what that is, but P6, see, now it's not even beeping when I touch it. So, you know, you want to get rid of that annoying beep that it does when you're moving the, you know, the things up and down, or even pushing the set button. You can go into P6, turn that off, and then see, I turn it back on. Now we'll get the beeps again. P7 is set to off. I don't know what that programming does, but I've turned it on and off, and it doesn't seem to change anything. But P8, now this one is very important, because it is actually a master reset. So if you go in and turn that to on, the thermostat board will actually go back to the manufacturer's settings, and so we have to change them once we get them, because some of the settings are a little bit fouled up. And so if you turn that P8 to on and it resets all your settings to the factory settings, then your thermostat isn't going to work nearly how it's supposed to. So that one, if you accidentally turn that to on, you're going to have to program two of the settings for sure, P0 or P1 and P, let's see, maybe it's just P1. Oh, so you're going to have to adjust your temperature setting back down, because it's going to automatically revert to 77 degrees. That's too hot for a lot of you. I know it would be for me. So that will change the default setting of the temperature to 77, but then you have to go in and change P1 down to 0.2. So don't mess with, like, if you don't have to get into those program settings, don't do it. I don't recommend it. But if you do, then that is how you would go in and change them back to what they need to be. And like I said, I will post that with the video of what each programming mode should be set at to get to make it work for you properly. You know, the hot and the cold thing, like if you do want to use this in the wintertime and put warm water in, we don't recommend like super hot water, because it will start to melt the tubing at a certain point. So we recommend anything below 150 is okay. You start getting above 150 degrees Fahrenheit, and you could you know, like I said, you could start causing some damage to the tubing and whatnot. So it will work as a heating device as well. But that is how you would change that, as you go into the P0 and change it to an H, and then you would be able to use it in the winter time. So that's not what we focus on. We focus on cooling you down. So I'm just telling you that that is an option. If you we get asked that all the time. Hey, would it work in the winter time? If you, and we do, yeah, it will work, and it works pretty well. It's just a matter of keeping your water hot, because you do lose a lot of heat quickly. So it's not like you could use it all day with the same load of hot water. So you know, it's not like you can put chunks of hot water in and have it work. So you might have, you know, originally you fill it up and then you may get 2 hours of a warm seat, and then after that it's going to cool down pretty quickly. So that's an option if you want to just take the edge off of the morning, whatever morning you're out on, you know, whatever you're using it in. That's an option. So anyway, that's that. And if you have any questions or comments, just post them in here and we'll try to answer them as best we can. So thanks again.